Time for TNT NBA Tip-Off presented by Auto Trader, the Saturday afternoon edition. As we get set for the Hawks and Nets, followed by the Bulls and Bucks on TNT. Studio J in Atlanta. Ernie Johnson, Shaq, Kenny, Charles, everybody rested? Everybody have a good Friday off?
Yes, we did, Ernie.
Was it exciting?
Yeah, we only had to watch 3 basketball games.
Huh. But you did more than just watch basketball, I assume. Just chill.
Because no, that's all I did, watch basketball, because I knew you were going to ask me something about those games last night.
Well, we will eventually, but I thought maybe you'd just relax, and you would. You didn't do anything, did you, yesterday? More from these guys in the next half hour. But first, we ventured to Brooklyn, where the Nets were 19-22 this season, the only playoff team with a losing record at home. They did win 7 of their last 9 at Barclays, but one of those losses was to Atlanta earlier this month. Okay, look, Brooklyn has outshot the Hawks in this series, 45% to 41%. Atlanta, though, plus 27 from three-point land. Brooklyn, as Lionel Hollins pointed out, has turned the ball over a lot. So they've been in these games, and Darren Williams could have tied it late the other day. You see Brooklyn breaking through today, Chuckster?
I do not.
Well, you had to think about that for a minute, obviously.
Ernest, sometimes I think we get fooled. I'm a big boxing fan. And I was talking to Emmanuel Stewart one night, and he was talking about, I said, man, this guy's going to be great one day because he keeps coming close to winning. He said, I don't think about it like that. He says, just because it's close, maybe they're not good enough. And Kenneth said before the series started, Atlanta's the #1 seed for a reason. Brooklyn kind of moonwalked in. So I thought they could win a game, but I don't see that anymore.
When I look at Atlanta, Kenny, and I wanted to ask you, as a shooter, I want to ask you this question of you. Because Lionel Hollins was asked, hey, how about Kyle Korver? How do you defend him? What kind of job are you doing on him? He said, hey, look, we're not talking about Steph Curry here. We're talking about Kyle Korver. He can't do the things that Curry can do, is the point he was making. But does that insult you as a shooter if you're saying, well, yeah, you will defend him, but he's no Steph Curry?
Well, then that is disrespectful in this regard. Because the way Kyle Korver scores, so if you're sprinting, running off picks, imagine you just had the ball. So Steph Curry is doing the same thing, but he's just doing it with the basketball. So mentally, if you're guarding him, you have to be locked in the same exact way. Because if you're not locked in until he gets the ball, it's too late. So you have to guard him without the ball, imagining that he's dribbling because he's working that hard to get off. So that is the biggest mistake ever, to think that he's not the same shooter Steph Curry is, because he's a guy who can actually run around a pick and then catch it and shoot it. There are guys in this league who are just catch and shoot guys, that they have to wait for someone to get double teamed. He doesn't have to wait to get a double team to occur. He can work his way open. That is a misconception, and that's probably the reason why he's still shooting the ball well.
They call him Hawkeye. They call him Threesus. You can call him Threesus.
I like that one.
But you can call him the leading scorer for the Hawks in this series with 19 a game. Thaddeus Young stood up in the locker room the other day after the game and apologized to his Brooklyn teammates after going 1 for 7 for 2 points, and said, look, fellas, I'm sorry I didn't give us anything.
I mean, that was commendable, but, it's not his fault. It's a team game. They still have to take care of the ball. We still need more from Darren Williams. I'm starting to think what Paul Pierce said was correct. Paul Pierce said he didn't like the pressure. Guys shooting 64%, get him the ball, stop messing around. Yeah, we coulda, shoulda won those 2 games, but we didn't. This game right here is going to tell me a lot, because Kenny and Chuck knows there's 2 types of team. There's a team that says, okay, they did what they're supposed to do, now we get 2. Then there's another team saying, hey, let's just go play hard, get these 2 games over so we can go to Cancun. So this game today is going to tell me a lot about Brooklyn.
Lopez made more shots in game 2 than he took in game 1.
They're not respecting the shooters. And they're not respecting Darren Williams. They're not respecting Thaddeus Young. They're not respecting Joe Johnson. And unless those guys, and the only way to really, in my opinion, offset that is speed up the tempo of the game. Because layups and fast break shots are a lot easier to get in the rhythm than playing in a half-court set.
Atlanta's got them 28-10 in fast break points. In paint points, it's the Nets 92 to 70.
Wait, they got 10 points?
10 points.
In 2 games on fast breaks?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they were way down on the list in the regular
Clearly.
season. By the way, the Hawks trying to go up 3-0 in a best-of-7 for the first time since 1970, when they were in the Western Division semis against Chicago. I don't know, but I recall they beat, that may have been the Jerry Sloan, Tom Bortwinkle Bulls back then with the Hawks, and Norm Van Leer on that Chicago team, I believe. But that's just my fading memory. We'll be back with more in a second. It has been 14 years since the Bucks won a playoff series, and now they're a loss away from being KO'd in the first round for the 6th straight time. The Bulls, of course, are on course for a heavyweight Eastern Conference semifinal against the Cavs, and they can punch their ticket later this afternoon here on TNT. We get more on Game 4. You know, I was wondering, I thought about you guys, and I said, 3-0 deficits in the playoffs. I don't think that's probably happened very often to you guys. Chuck, it happened once in '85. Kenny, once in '96.
And me six times.
6 times
Yes.
you've been 3-0. Give me the mindset of a team down 3-0 in a series. How much belief is there that you're not done?
You talking about up? Up or down?
No, you're down. You've been down 3-0.
Again, there's
6 times.
there's,
6 times.
Yeah, and 4 rings. Something you don't know about.
These guys are muttering to themselves
I'm just
over
saying,
here
6
while you're trying
times.
to
And
answer.
you know what? And I got more rings.
Hey, Ernie,
both
in
of them guys
fairness,
combined.
when I was down 3-0, that was the best of 5 series. I don't think I ever been down 3-0 in a 7-game
Okay,
series.
Chuck, you know what? I learned
wait.
from my failures and come back to win championships.
clearly you failed a
like
lot.
you.
No, early in his career,
like you.
honestly, you
Yeah,
know,
it
we
was
actually
early.
said that.
Yeah, it was
because
early.
we said early in his career, he had, when he went out, they would lose
Yeah, I always got
4
swept.
zip.
Yeah, every time.
Every time.
Every
and
time.
so we said if we can get them, we actually said that in
You
Houston.
won one. You won
We said
one
if we
game
get
down.
them,
Yeah,
his
one
teams
game.
have always done that.
So
We
then-
actually-
So how much belief is there in a locker room?
To answer your question, there's 2 types of teams. There's teams that are great teams, like Kenny's Houston teams that never underestimated the heart of a champion. We're going to go get one at a time and try to win it. But there's other teams that it's over, thinking about next year. 1, 2, 3, Cancun.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So, yeah, me too. I've heard that too.
Ernie, it's humiliating to get swept. It's humiliating. Hal just told me it actually was the best of 7, but we won Game 4.
Because if it was a best of 5, it would have been over. If
No,
you're
yeah,
down
yeah,
3-0.
But I'm gonna tell you something, man. But it's humiliating to get swept.
It happened to me 6 times, Ernie?
Yeah.
Dang.
that you were down 3-0, but you did win once.
They won a game.
Yeah.
Way to fight through it, Shaq.
The Bucks have. The Bucks have.
1, 2, 3, Cancun.
The Bucks have no starters shooting 40% in this series against Chicago.
Well, I mean,
Things do not look good on the Milwaukee.
this is why I always
Packers started. The Packers got traded camp this week. They can go watch Aaron Rodgers sling it around.
is when I defend. Jimmy Butler, at times, before this year, when he says, when I have my best games, is when I defend.
Yeah.
You know, Gasol says, I'm a defender.
Oh,
so
stop it.
No, default. He's a weak side defender. He comes across and blocks
Right.
shots.
The reason this Bulls team is better than they had in the last 5 years, number one, they're bigger. They were too small with Carlos Booz and Noah. They're both undersized power forwards, and they got beat up, and they wasn't getting offensive rebounds. But this is the best team offensively, because if you go back and look when they were winning MVP, it was Derrick Rose, and that was it. Now Butler can get you 20, Gasol can get you 20. Noah's going to do what Noah does.
But they're still a good defense.
They are a good defense team, but you still have to be able to score. When they were,
You're right.
And that's what makes them dangerous. They're still a good defensive team, and they're better offensively.
But I'm saying that's the change they made.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to hold every team to 80 points, and that's what they used to do.
Right.
But now they can actually score 100 points. And listen,
But in those key moments.
but you know, first of all, you do have to play defense.
No. Certain teams aren't able.
Yeah, I know
you
that,
got
but I'm
Taj
still-
Gibson, you got Noah, and you got Butler on
but
the
you
floor
still
with
have to-
Derrick Rose when he's moving well. Those are 4
Yeah, but
really good defenders.
but
Yeah, but
still
you know,
have
a lot of times when teams miss shots, the other teams take the credit for playing good defense. For example, in the overtime game the other day, wasn't really good defense, bad shot. O.J. Mayo took a bad shot, and the other kid took a bad shot. You know, you got to get better shots. So a lot of times, you know, we could be, you know, misconstrued by what's really going on. I just think, you know, Milwaukee's missing shots. However, they still don't have a chance.
The thing about the Bulls offense, too, and you liked this number the other day, after 2 games. Now after 3, they've assisted on 81 out of 109 field goals, which is 74%. The league lead was just under 68% by the Hawks. So you're assisting on 74% of your made
But
buckets.
Ernie, one thing, and I said this 3 months ago. The biggest adjustment was for the Bulls was Derrick Rose going to have voluntary cooperation. He used to be a one-man band. He's not a one-man band anymore.
Guy been in the league 5
Kenny,
years.
I got one.
Said it.
After they win the championship, he can sip on rosé.
Oh, that was good, Shaq.
1, 2,
Thanks,
3.
Chico.
Cancun.
Yeah, well,
There we go. Bulls and Bucks later. Meantime, it's the Hawks and the Nets from Brooklyn with a 3:10 Eastern tip.
Y'all comments, roses smell like poo-poo.